So it's another windy day today. Apparently the mountains, about 30, 45 minutes from my house, they're actually getting snow, finally. Which in the south is incredible, even though it should have been snowing like 2 months ago. Go figure. But, you know, climate change isn't real. No, of course not. Where are we at? Oh, so was just having a thought. An epiphany of a sort. So we all remember the great sin Bethesda has finally committed, and that being Fallout 76. I hated to mention it. I apologize. But with that being said, what happens if Elder Scrolls 6 basically turns into Fallout 76? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm curious as to what will happen if it did. It would be a travesty, first of all. I would never buy a Bethesda-made game ever again. But oh, there are people alive. Okay, gotta kill you. Gotta go away. Go away. Don't go away mad. Just go away.
Too much clutter.
You know what's going to happen? I don't know what would happen, but I do know for certain there would be a lot of upset. But that, like, well, Elder Scrolls loving fanboys and girls that would lose their damn minds. I would be one of them, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't really care about Fallout all that much. I think Obsidian should have just have been able to keep that IP rolling on their own and be fine. We wouldn't have needed Outer Worlds. Don't get me wrong, Outer Worlds is a fun game for what it is. A little limited. It is pretty, but it's interesting. But it's not the be-all end-all game that everyone is making it out to be, of course. I would say the same thing about Death Stranding. It's not the be-all end-all game of all time, but it's still fun. It's still good. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, of course. But, you know, there's a big... It's a big deal. Elder Scrolls is a very big deal in the gaming world for a lot of people. The idea that, for whatever reason, those games fell down the, God forbid, Fallout 76 travesty. It's heartbreaking to think about. Has it happened? Obviously not. We're not even there yet. Duh. But what if, you know, it's just a thought I was thinking. So what if it did, though? Obviously, we're not going to know anything for years. Bethesda is notorious for taking their sweet time with their mainstay games. Really Elder Scrolls is their mainstay. That is their flagship. The idea that they would take no time at all on those games, yeah, I don't see that happening. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully sooner than later, to an extent. I would like to hear something about those about that, and within the next like year or so. I don't think they would want to put anything out too soon. That would just be bad press, especially for that type of game. They put a lot of development into those games, despite the fact that they are also glitchy messes. Texture popping is a problem. The glitches and exploits you can pull off in those games. Every single one of the Bethesda games has some kind of item duplication that is just beyond insane. That should never happen, but it does. Oh well. With that being said, though, I don't see them rushing an Elder Scrolls game. I don't see them screwing up that game, that kind of game, like they did with 76. I think they might have learned a valuable lesson with Fallout 76. Don't ever make anything like Fallout 76 ever again, or your fans will execute you. You will be crucified by your own fan base. As a matter of fact, most of the fan base has lost trust, I would dare say, in Bethesda and what they and everything they do, which is unfortunate, but it is their own. It is Bethesda's own fault, isn't it? They kind of went the same route that, in a lot of ways, like Activision did, or what was the other one that always gets me? Konami, excuse me. Took me a minute. Once you go down that route where you stop really actually caring about your fan base, that becomes a problem. And it seems like some of the video game companies care more about their profit than their fan base. I get that the video game industry is really rough. It's not a fun industry, apparently. I mean, it can be, and it can be a creative industry. It can be a beautiful industry where you can make games that talk about concepts so complex as mental illness, for instance. If you played Sinuous Sacrifice, yeah, Hellblade, which they're making a Hellblade 2, and that is very exciting. I cannot wait for that. I started playing Sinuous Sacrifice while I was further up north doing work in another warehouse. They took volunteers to send people to other warehouses to help out because a new one had opened and all that. So but in my free time, in my like 2 weeks up there, I was playing Sinuous Sacrifice on my Switch, and you know, I had my headphones and everything with me, and it's just one of the most eerie and disturbing and provocative games that I have played in so long. It was not just a breath of fresh air, it was anxiety inducing. It was wonderful and terrible at the same time. A game that I give some of my highest praise, despite, you know, it might not be the prettiest game. The combat was very simple. There was a lot of it that was just, it was simple enough, but the concept itself was incredible. And I can't wait to see what they do next, obviously. Nier. Both Nier, the original one, and Nier Automata. Both incredible games that go over philosophical concepts that honestly probably went over the heads of most people who played it. Which I'm not trying to be rude about that. I'm saying that as a matter of fact. It's very unlikely most of your casual gamers or Might is right. That one's pretty funny. Considering name of book. Anyway. Sorry, just gonna go over this really quick. Liquid persuasion. Okay then. Alright. Where is the trial at? It's gotta be back here somewhere. There it is. There it is. Okay. So, it's not that games have somehow made some weird transition into not being art forms. They are still art forms. They are still capable of being vehicles for complicated issues and for thought-provoking commentary. They still have that ability. The problem is that a lot of your mainstay and biggest game developers don't care to do that so much anymore. They're not making games that are thought-provoking as much anymore. They're cashing in on the younger generation playing Fortnite and MMO. Some of the, offbeat MMOs. MMOs still are a thing, although I think the culture surrounding MMOs has changed a bit over the years, I guess. You got to think, I played RuneScape and and stuff like that. But look at Fallout 76 to get an idea of why MMOs can be a problem. Yeah. Why? Or you could look at Elder Scrolls Online when it first came out. And to an extent even now. I haven't played it much still, but you can still see the problems. Like, Elder Scrolls has always been a single player experience that's been very story driven, very well scripted, well played, plot's interesting usually, esque. It's always a hero's journey, of course, but I mean, what else were you gonna have at the time? But having something like, let's say, as I mentioned, Elder Scrolls Online, for instance, the problem with Elder Scrolls Online was that you would go in and fight, or try to go fight this boss or whatever, and there's or fight this one monster for a quest, and there's 20 other people there doing the exact same thing. You get pulled out of the game. You just get pulled out. Whatever depth you could have had is gone. I'm gonna go and tell you right now, the story that Elder Scrolls Online takes place in is awesome. It's back before Jaggerthorn and all of the... way before the Oblivion Crisis, way before even the what do you call it? Morrowind story with Red Mountain and the Neverring. It's way before any of that. Which it was only mentioned in like books and stuff like, and it's even before the original like first Elder Scroll game. Before Daggerfall, before Arena, before any of that. It's an interesting period of time to place the Elder Scrolls games in. So that's not the fault I have with it. I have a fault with it being an MMO in general. It should never have been an MMO. Had it been a single player game, it would have been like a single player Elder Scrolls like prequel of a sort. It would have been easily one of the highest grossing Elder Scrolls games that's ever been released. Skyrim couldn't have matched that. Especially with the amount of detail that went into the game and how big that game is. It is actually a good game in that sense, but when they made it an MMO, they drew all the depth out of it. They sucked the life right out of the game, in a sense. Which is tragic, because, like I said, I like it. Where am I getting with all this? AAA studios are doing stuff like that now to, cash in, and it's kind of ruining the older generation, or how should I say, alienating the original fan base. I cared about Elder Scrolls before it was an MMO, obviously. Before there was a Skyrim, Skyrim oversimplified the Elder Scrolls series, as far as I'm concerned. I don't like the magic system in it. For instance, it is too simple. It's comedic. When in Morrowind, 2 games before, I could make any spell I wanted to in the game. Yeah, it was a glitchy mess and everything, but the story was more entertaining. It was easier to do what I wanted to do in a game. Same could be said for Oblivion. Even Oblivion had more complexity. But generally the reason you would simplify systems in a series of games that is traditionally a little more complicated is to entice more casual gamers, number one, or entice younger gamers. It depends on which they're going for, or both. It doesn't really matter too much. But that's essentially what they did. Do I have a problem with that? Absolutely. That's like simplifying fighting games. Why would you want to oversimplify fighting games? Because that's been an issue when what was it? Marvel Infinite came out. Marvel Infinite comes out, and you have like one-button combos for everything. You have the potential to do one-button combos and all that. There's always been some level of simplification for a game, but they always made it optional, not required. They didn't make it necessarily a part of the game, so to speak. I forget which one it was, but a lot of your hyper fighters and stuff like that would have 2 different control schemes. You would have one that is basically single button, easier to do combos. Then you had some that were sorry, that Molten Soul, I think it's called, it will one-hit kill you a lot of times. That is a pretty pearl. Now it's mine. So oversimplifying games just makes, or just sucks the souls out of games, you know? And then you have this dependency on loot boxes that make it even worse. You have, it doesn't really matter what I'm going to get here. I'm not really changing my belt out at this point. You know, alienating your fan base, or your original fan base, I guess. Maybe that's a good way of putting it. Not sure it's the correct way of putting it, but alienating your fan base it doesn't help your company in that sense. And then one of my favorite quotes, maybe misquotes, but it was back when Modern Warfare 3 was coming out, or before it came out, and effectively the CEO of Activision said that gamers just wanted the same things. They didn't want anything to change. They just wanted the same stuff over and over again. To me, I took that as a direct insult. He made it, his tone just made it sound like he was trying to say that, you know, at least the fans of their series were stupid. At least that's why I took it. Whether he didn't really say it like that, it's not what he, and probably not what he meant, but that's how I took it. And I'm pretty sure that's how a lot of people took that. Get my chisels here. Chisels are worth quite a pretty penny if you can get enough of them. Which I collect chisels like most people collect stamps. But you can tell how old I am just mentioning stamps. And what was funny about Modern Warfare, or Activision at the time with the Call of Duty series, is that they hadn't, the company, what was it, Treyarch and the other one, right now I can't remember what it was called now. A lot of them went on to found Sledgehammer Games. Infinity Ward. Thank you. Talking to myself and I'm saying thank you. But they hadn't changed the graphics engine for for that series since like since before Modern Warfare, if that makes sense. They literally had not changed graphics engines. They hadn't upgraded anything. Granted, their art style came up in the world. Like, their art style was better. Right? So I wish I could do that for some reason, but I'd rather have unique. Oh my god. What was that? Where is it? Oh. Okay, 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 we got him. We got it, we got it, we got it. We good, we good. Yep, 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 yep. Die. And dead. Okay. Oh. It's like ambush charge, I think. Yeah. It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay.
Exile.
Sorry. Yeah, their art style got better. Their animations got better. You know, certain things, certain elements were getting better, right? But in terms of gameplay, nothing really changed. In terms of mechanics, nothing changed. In terms of you know, obviously graphics engine, nothing changed. You know, when you're talking about a lot of things that just aren't changing, people can tell when something's stagnating. You know, if you told me that, let's say there was going to be a Fortnite 2, okay? If you told me there was going to be a Fortnite 2, and then you said, or the CEO or whatever said, well, it's Fortnite 2, yeah, it's brand new and everything, and, you know, let's say the art changed a little bit, okay? But all the building mechanics were still there. All the guns worked the exact same way. All the secondary equipment worked the same way. It was still, and on top of all that, it was still a battle royale shooter, not third-person shooter. Is it a Fortnite 2? Is it different? Is it better? You know, what is it at that point? And here's the problem with Activision's CEO is that, as insulted as I could be at him saying something that was seemingly insulting, he wasn't entirely wrong. See, that's the thing about, I guess you could say, modern games or modern gamers. When I say modern, I mean the past, like, 15, 20 years. Basically, Generation Z, you know, coming along. People born like 2000 and later. They really don't want anything changed. They really don't want different mechanics or anything, it seems like. They don't want things to necessarily be better or look better or feel better or anything like that. At least that's the way it seems. At least, I'm gonna make millennial jokes here, but at least the millennials see what's going on and going, oh, you know, we're getting the shaft right now. Why are we getting the shaft? Why are you not making the game better? You know, at least that's the way I see it. We're in an age of, you know, Fortnite, and we're in the age, not even Fortnite, screw that, we're in the age of battle royales, which I can't, don't get me wrong, I like the concept of battle royales, but I think, and they're going in a couple of different ways with battle royales too. At least that much is certain. They've, you know, there are battle royales that are mostly shooters, and everything from Apex and Fortnite and Blacklist, or the Call of Duty 4's Blacklist, and God, there was a bunch of other ones. I can't. There's some like off ones that I don't remember the names of course. But at least there's variety in those. And then there's, and not only that, but there's like, yes, there's those shooter ones, and then you have stuff like, what was the one called? Man, I forget the name of it. Like For Honor. For Honor is effectively, like, other than playing out duels, is effectively a battle royale of a sort. At least to a degree. Same way with like Battlefield. Battlefield, to an extent, had that battle royale feel to it. Same way with what was the name of that one? PlanetSide? Yeah. PlanetSide and PlanetSide 2, you know, you have these massive battles, hundreds of people playing to make, like, to win. That's really cool.
This is not good.
Get out of here. Oh my god. Haku, you need to calm it down. Alright, Haku, what you
I
got?
choose.
You choose honorable death? Me too. Bye-bye, buddy. How about you, Hillock?
Hate myself.
Hillock hates self. Hillock hates syndicate. Rather be dead. Yeah, you damn right. Be dead, buddy.
Gruesome.
Janice.
That was vivid.
Janice and
I
Racker
see you're
become
not one to
trusted.
bluff. Well, I'm not one to gamble. Okay, that's a lie. I love gambling, but
And I'll bargain with you as well. And boom,
Giannis.
we have a lot of stuff to cash in on. And now I'm a little excited. What do we got? Okay, cool. Where's June at? Hey, June. Hey,
Who
June.
wins?
Time to... Oh, no. That's not what I meant to do.
Salah.
Hey, June. Unveil. There we go. Ooh. That could be good. It's alright. So, it sounds like I'm griping a lot. I guess I am. But not for unreasonable... Not for an unreasonable intention. You know, I want... The only games I'm really... Like, I'll play about anything, more or less, except for, like, racing games. I don't play those really a lot. I don't play too many fighting games. There's plenty of things that I do and don't like. And there's a place for, like, fighting games. There's a place for racing games and all that. But when I'm talking about adventure games and action games and, you know, horror, it just seems like gaming is becoming a little more and more becoming simple. Too simple, even. And I don't like that, because to me at least, video games are to an extent an art form. You know, it requires artists, it requires programmers, it requires, you know, skilled storytellers. And the problem I'm seeing is that a lot of those things are becoming less and less important in modern gaming. To an extent, that's not 100% true, of course. There's a certain... How should I say, there's a certain point where that's not entirely true. I get that. I'm not saying that's... Wow, okay. There we go. I'm not saying these other video games don't have a place. I'm not saying that pure, just regular old good old-fashioned entertainment and escapism doesn't have a place. I'm saying that it's overtaking the rest of the video game world. Mindless escapism is taking over the video game world, where we still had a chance of having a more pure experience. You know, a pure storytelling experience. That's why, again, Senua's Sacrifice is one of my favorite games of the last several years. That's why Death Stranding is a game that I absolutely love, even though it got, like, mediocre reviews to an extent. That's why it still won Video Game Awards other than, you know, the fact that a lot of money got put into marketing campaigns for it. But it's still, I honestly think it deserved a lot of the credit that it got, simply because it was a different type of game. It was a game that was more purely art and story driven. It was more than just a shooter or a horror game, or, you know, some unintelligible mess of, oh my, oh, you are not taking damage. Oh, I may have made you too strong. Oh, it's because of the hexproof. Oh god. Oh, yep, dead. Go figure. That's okay. I think we're not gonna worry about that one. We'll just take the L on that. And I just see it all as unfortunate. That's all. I wish, I really hope, I should say, that like Hellblade 2, when it comes out, will maintain that spirit that it had in 1. I hope that when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, it maintains the spirit of the older games. Not Fallout 76, not even Fallout 4.
You return from your hunt.
I really want for it to be I really want for those games to be
Yes.
story and entertainment and like high fantasy, and can sink your teeth into what it's about instead of being some pointless grind. And if that's too much for some people to handle, that's too much for them to handle. Oh well. At least you're not sacrificing yourself for, you know, unnecessarily monetary gain. I'm not saying monetary gain shouldn't be there. You're still a business. But I believe there's a fine line between business acumen and art. There should be a dividing line between those things. But there also should be a point where people should understand that we do want games that are about story and about, you know, more than just repetitive loot and shoot, you know. Don't get me wrong, this is very much a looter, but it's also a dungeon crawler. It's a Diablo game. That's kind of what it is. That's why I said it's mindless enough for me to be able to play it and talk over it, you know. Not trying to insult the game. I'm actually... Ooh. Wow, does more damage than I thought it did. But anyway, now that I think my tirade is mostly over, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.